Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know, my name is Mare and I love to crochet plushies, and today I'm super excited to share with you this little itty bitty bumblebee on a keychain. See how cute he is? So I'm really excited. I actually designed this guy myself. It's not super difficult, it's definitely, as far as pattern designing goes, very, 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 very basic, very beginner. But you know what? I'm super proud anyway because I have not ever crocheted a plushie that I have not used a pattern for. So, like a pattern that somebody else has written. So, I don't care how easy it is. I'm excited. And he's super cute. Look, he's got little tiny wings. If my camera would focus. Come on. I don't know. Well, he's so cute. You can see how cute he is. So anyway, I'm super excited. So I decided to make this guy because I actually am now in market prep, like actual real market prep. I have I have my first ever market in 10 days from right this moment. And that is crazy to me. So I had a lot of back stock, thank goodness, but it's not nearly enough. So I wanted to come up with some cute little ideas that for things that I could just make really fast. This guy, he took I don't know, like, I'm not gonna pretend like I remember how long he took. He didn't take very long, and I am just really happy with how he turned out. I love his black band that's around him like this. I just think he's really cute. So, but before we get into our bee, I just would love to ask that if you are not already, that you give me a subscribe and hopefully a like. Um, that would help me out so much as a small business. And, you know, if you like what you see here, if you like this keychain and you think that I make pretty good work, you can go check out my shop. I will link it in the description. And I will also leave a link for all of the materials that I'm going to use and, all of that fun stuff. And all right. So like I said, I am going to be in my first ever market in 10 days. I live in the Cincinnati area and I got into the artisan marketplace in Over the Rhine. If anyone's from this area, you're definitely going to know where Over the Rhine is. And I also got into the Morrow Market, which is an artisan event over in Morrow, Ohio, which is about half an hour away from me. So it's not too far. I'm just really excited. It has been super duper hot. Like it was 95 today with the feels like temperature, I believe, said that it was like 105 today, with ridiculous humidity, which is why I got some frizz going on in my hair. I tried to fix it before this video, but it just was not happening. So I just let it happen. But I'm hoping that it will cool down at least a little bit before the market because I'm kind of worried nobody's going to come if it's that hot. And I'm a little more worried that nobody's going to want to buy plushies if it's 95 degrees outside because you don't bring your favorite stuffed animal outside when it's that hot, right? I don't know if people do that anyway. Maybe it's just me, but I wouldn't if it was that hot. So maybe I'm just a little bit worried. So I hope that there's a good turnout, and I hope that people come to my booth and like my work. And I don't know, I'm just really nervous, but I'm really excited. So I hope that it goes well. And that is exactly why I created my itty bitty bumblebee, which is what I'm calling it because I think that's a cute name. He has a key ring, so you can stick him wherever you want to. You can come around with you anywhere you want. So I am going to be launching into my tutorial here in a moment about how to make this bee, and I also have a blog post written about it. I have my blog post up about that, and there's a free written pattern in there. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to make a PDF pattern of this one or not, just because it is so basic. I might just stick with my free pattern in my blog and on Instagram and in this video. So if you would like to see a PDF pattern that you can download, let me know and maybe I'll do it. So, all right, I hope you enjoy this bee, and if you make them, please tag me and let me know, and I would love to see everything that you guys make. And there we go. We're going to head into our bee now. Bye. Okay, so the materials that we are going to need today are a size 4 yellow, white, and black yarn. These two are going to be the bee's body colors, and this one here is going to be for the wings. For this yarn, I'm using a 4.5 millimeter, but you can probably, depending on the yarn that you pick, you can use anywhere between a 4 and 5, but I would recommend using a size 4 yarn for this, just to make sure that it's good and small and not too chunky for how small it is. Then you're going to need your tapestry needle. I did not open this yet, but I have a bent tapestry needle, which I will show you guys when I'm putting on the keychain. And then of course you're going to need your keychain attachment like this. All right, let's get started. We're going to start with our yellow, and we're going to go ahead and make our magic ring, which I am not going to show how to do in this video, but you can go check it out in one of my other tutorial videos, which I will link. All right, and then your magic ring, you're going to crochet 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And after you make that, you are going to pull that tight and get it really good and snug in there. And then that's where we're going to place our stitch marker. Oops, not right there. We're going to place our stitch marker in the first stitch after we complete our first single crochet of the next round. So for this round, we are going to be placing an increase into every stitch. So there's 1 and 2. And there we just did an increase. That's 2 single crochets in the same stitch, and then we're going to do that again in the next stitch. 1, 2, and then we're going to just continue that around. All right, and that is our second round completed. So now we are just going to go into this next stitch here. Actually, before we do that, we're going to want to count and just make sure that we have 12. It's just a good idea because that will set the shape of your whole bee. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. All right, so we're good to go. Then in your next round, we are going to do a single crochet in your first stitch. Place your stitch marker. And then in the next one, we are going to do an increase. Like that, 2 single crochets in that stitch. We're going to just repeat that around. So it's going to be 1 single crochet and an increase. Alright, and so we have reached the last stitch of our round, and so before we finish this round, but with our last increase, we are going to complete a color change to black so that we can start the first little stripe. So I always like to put a little band stripe behind his head. I just think it looks cute. So separating the head from the first stripe. So it's not going to be a full stripe, but it's just going to be a little band. So we're going to start our second single crochet of that increase like that, get those 2 loops, and then that's when we are going to switch to our black. We're going to introduce the black now. So instead of pulling through with your yellow like you normally would, you're going to pull through with your black like that. That just makes a little bit neater color change. And then we are just going to go into, you want to get your tail out of the way. You can actually crochet over your tail like that. But so we're going to go into that first stitch with our black. And there we go. And now in this round, we're just going to do single crochet in each stitch. So we're done with our increase rounds because we want this bead to be very small to fit on our keychain. Just 2. $17 and $18. So once again, we are going to do our color change in that last stitch because we just want this little itty bitty black band behind the head before we do our first stripe. So now we're going to switch it back to our yellow right here. And whether you keep the black on here, like if you don't cut it, that is completely up to you. We are going to be doing several rows in our yellow before we continue with black. So you can carry it if you wish, or you can cut it. It does not really make that much of a difference. I'm going to carry it just so that there's less tails for me to accidentally get confused with. Alright, so we're just going to be single crocheting around until we begin our decrease rounds. So I'll just go ahead and do that now. $17 and $18. All right. So we're just going to continue that for a few more rounds here. We're going to do 2 more yellow rounds before we switch to our black again. So once you reach the end of your second yellow round from right now, you are going to switch back to black, and we're going to do our black stripes. So we have reached the last stitch of our yellow stripe, and so now we are going to take our black, whether you carried it or not. We're just going to take our black and finish that last stitch, same way we did before. Pull your yellow to really nicely tighten it down, and then we are just going to continue. We're going to do 3 rows in black the same way we just did with yellow. Just 3 rows of single crochet. Do it the same way that we did with our yellow, where before finishing the last black row, we are going to switch back to yellow in the last stitch, just like before. Actually, before we get into our third row, I just finished the second one, we're going to go ahead and place our safety eyes. So I am using these really itty bitty safety eyes right here. They are super small. I do not remember what size they are, to be completely honest with you, but I will check and I will make a note of it. So, yep, those are the kind that we're using. So we're going to go ahead and place them in this second round here. We're going to put one right there in the second round. And then you want them to be 1, 2, 4 stitches apart, like that. Like so. You can go ahead and put your backs on if you're happy with where they are, which I am. Alright, so our safety eyes are on. So now we're going to do one more row of black before we switch back to our yellow. up onto the last stitch here. So we're going to go ahead and not finish it with the black. We're going to finish it with yellow. There we go. Okay. So now we are going to continue on into our yellow rounds. And for this, we are just going to do 1 round of single crochet. And then we're going to get into our decrease rounds to finish off the body. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and cut my black off. I usually like to wait until I've done a round in my other color just to make sure that nothing weird happens and it just like falls out. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a little paranoid about it, but that's just what I like to do. You can, if you feel confident about it, you can go ahead and snip it off right after we finish the black, but I always just like to wait. All right, so now we're going to begin our decrease rounds. We're going to begin our decrease rounds. So we're going to, into this first stitch, we're going to do a single crochet like that. Place our stitch marker just like before. After you drop it inside your bee, of course, twice in the stitch this time. There we go. Okay. And now we are going to complete an invisible decrease. And again, I'm not going to show that in this video, but you can check out my basics tutorial, which it'll be in there. So there's our invisible decrease, and we're just going to continue that all the way around. So a single crochet and an invisible decrease all the way around. Alright, and here we are at our last decrease. And before we continue on to our next round, we are going to go ahead and stuff this bee up. My stuff in here. I'm just going to go ahead and fill it. Almost there. And there we go. Alright, so our bee is stuffed now. I'm going to make sure it's really down in his face. Sometimes with this particular yarn, this is the Wibbles Easy Peasy yarn, so I don't think I mentioned that before. Sometimes it looks like he's got a little nose, which I don't totally hate. But I don't think that happens with every yarn. This is just a particularly stiff yarn, so it does happen. Alright, so now that we're done with that, now we're going to get to our last decrease round before we sew it up. So we're just going to do an invisible decrease all the way around in each stitch. And that should leave us with 6 stitches when we're finished with that. Alright, and there we go. That is our last invisible decrease of this bee. So now we're going to take out our stitch marker because it's just going to be in the way now. And you're going to make a little slip stitch just to, you're going to make a little slip stitch just to neaten up the end there. And then I always like to just chain one before I cut it because then you can just pull it through. It's nice that way. So leave a little bit of a tail. Doesn't have to be super long, but long enough to sew and pull through. So you just pull that tight. And then this is where we're going to grab our needle. So see, I have this bent needle. I just really like the way this works. And so there we go. And we're just going to pull, or we're going to sew the tail through the front loop of each stitch from that last round, because that will cinch it really nicely. And you'll see that here in a second. And there we go. That's the last one. You pull it really tight and that hole is completely gone. Now, just because of the nature of how this method works, it does leave a little bit of like this pinched pulley situation, but honestly for a bee it kind of looks like a stinger, so if you want to leave it, you have a stinger. I do not want to leave it, so I'm going to take my tail and just pull it through the next adjacent stitch up towards like his face area. And it comes out through his face. And then you're just going to pull it. You just do that a couple times to weave in that tail and make it everything really just nice and smooth. I can get it where I want it. When you're pulling it back through, don't pull it too hard or else his face will smash in. So you just want to be careful about that. And then for my last little weaving here, I'm just going to pull it through his side, through his back, or wherever it's going to end up being. Get it? Right. Snip that off, and his body is finished. Now we just have to make his wings and sew them on. So once again, we're going to make a magic ring here. And we're just going to crochet 6 into that again. Pull that tight when you're done with your 6 single crochets. And we're going to actually, instead of doing a single crochet into our first stitch like we did before, we're just going to do a slip stitch. And that is your wing, because our bee is so little, we just want our wing to be little, because he doesn't have to fly very far, so he doesn't need big wings. So that's one, and then the second one, just repeat what we just did. Pull it through, pull it tight, and your wings are done. Now we just have to sew them on. Alright, so when I cut them off, I left these big tails. This is way too long, to be honest with you. It's probably going to get in my way a little bit. But before we sew the wings on, you want to take your little keychain ring here, your keychain attachment, whatever kind you're using, and you want to figure out where you're going to place it. So you look at your bee, just find his best angle, you know, find what's working for him, and we're going to go ahead and I'm gonna put mine right here, right at that, right where the yellow meets the black over here in the center. And I am going to denote that with my stitch marker, just so that I do not forget. I'm going to put it right in there, so that we do not forget where it's going to go. We're going to take our needle, thread this through the eye, and you are going to sew this on. So I have a hard time with sewing sometimes, so I'll try to show you as best I can, but you know, so I'll just hope for the best. So we want to sew it on with the tail facing right towards that stitch marker. So you're going to sew it directly on each side of where your keychain attachment is going to be, so that there's a little tiny space where you can sew it in. So we're going to sew it like this. I'm going to put my needle right into where it is and pop it out the other side, just to fasten it right in that spot. Now we're going to just go ahead and sew it on. Try not to get it stuck on the yarn or on the stitch marker, but it does happen. Yep, see, I'm getting all tangled up in my tails, like I thought I would. But that is okay. Like where? What's even? There we go, okay. And now, how much you sew it down is completely up to you. So I'm not going to sew it down around the entire wing because I want it to look like his wings are up. But if you just want it to look like his wings are down, you can just sew it around the entire thing. I'm not doing that, but you definitely could. Like I said, sewing is not my strong suit, so if it's not perfect, you know, at least I got it on there and it's not falling off yet. And then we're going to take the tail from our beginning, this one, and put it down through this back stitch and pop it out where we just wove the other tail out through. Pull it tight. And now we're going to tie it in a double knot. Really, really tight. Just as tight as you can without breaking your yarn, because that's terrible. And now we are going to snip it close. And we're going to go ahead and tuck it on in there. And there we go. One wing is sewn on. Now for the second wing. So I should have mentioned before, for your first wing, you want to do your finishing tail, not your starting tail, to sew it on. It's just, I like it better that way. I think it's a little more stable. So again, we're going to go in right next to where that stitch marker is and just pop out the next stitch over. And after you do this, you can make sure that your wings are lined up with each other. You can see how they're going to look. And get that tail out of the way. And now I'm going to go ahead and put it through my first stitch here. There we go. Right, now I'm just going to put it back through that stitch again. And I'm just going to weave it out this way this time. Make sure our weaving doesn't get stuck with the other one. Let me take the starting tail, put it down in there, and weave it out to the same spot. We're almost done with our bee. So my wings are a little bit crooked, but you know, when they fly, their wings kind of go all over the place, right? That's what I'm gonna tell myself. He's flying currently. That's why his wings are weird. Not because I'm bad at sewing. For sure. All right, so we tied our tails tight, and we're gonna cut them close. Like that. And go ahead and tuck your knot in there. All right. All that's left to do is to add your keychain attachment. So we can now go ahead and take that stitch marker out because it's marked by the wings. We don't need that anymore. And we're going to take a length of the yarn color that is at your base of where you're going to be putting it. So if you put it on the yellow, use your yellow. If you put it on the black, use your black. So I'm going to use black. And I'm just going to cut, I always end up cutting more than I need, but you know, just cut like that much. Just a little, you know, just enough to go back and forth a couple times. Just thread it onto your needle there. We're going to go, so we're going to take our yarn, and just to have a little anchor spot here, I'm just going to thread it through here up to the adjacent stitch to where I'm going to put my keychain. So I'm just putting it through, and then make sure you don't pull the whole thing through, you know, leave a tail at the bottom. And we're going to tie it off and cut it later, so don't worry about that. Okay, so now we're going to go into our stitch that we want our keychain in, but before we go back, we're going to thread it also through your keychain, the bottom ring here, or whatever kind you're using, just thread it through the part that's attaching. And pull that through. And now you're going to bring it up into the next adjacent stitch over here, right over there. And you're going to want to come back out through the stitch that you went into before. So you're going to just make sure that there's like a loop on your keychain ring, on your key ring now. So yep, you can see it landed right where we wanted it. And now if you feel that your yarn could break, you can go through it a couple of more times. I feel pretty confident in this yarn because Booble's yarn is very sturdy. You know what, just to be safe, maybe I'll go through one more time. So I'm just gonna make that loop one more time. Pull through, pull it really nice and tight, so you don't want your keychain to fall out. And then we're going to take it back through our B to where the other one was. And we're going to pop it out right where the other tail is. We're going to tie them tight and double knot. and we are going to snip it like that. And voila, your bee is finished. And I hope you love him as much as I do, because he is very cute. Congratulations, you have made it to the end of the Itty Bitty Bee video, and you should now have the perfect little bag buddy to go with you everywhere you go. You put him on your purse, your keys, your backpack, whatever you want, and he'll just buzz right along with you, just going wherever you go. Because, you know, he's the perfect little guy. Dropped him. He's the perfect little guy to take with you everywhere. And if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see me make more tutorials, let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you guys what you think I should make, what you want to see me make, whatever. I would love to hear from you, whatever it is, whatever you have to say, as long as it's nice. And I probably will be making more tutorials because honestly, I really enjoyed making this a lot. So I think that I'll be doing it more. And yeah, thank you all so much for watching. I'm really grateful to anybody who stumbled across my video. You're helping me make my dream grow just by being here. So I really appreciate you all. And I hope you enjoy your brand new little baby Bumblebee. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye.